My brother and my mother and my dad, we would spend all day on the river fishing. And we would play down there, play in the water and all that. And the water just started looking worse and worse and worse. And then finally we realized that the water was dead.
When my wife and I first moved our boat here in 1990, our first trip up the river, we were passing over an underwater pipe, and all of a sudden a bunch of sewage effluent just kind of bubbled up all around us.
This facility was a sewage treatment facility. This was the facility for Jacksonville. What had used to been vibrant and had lots of, aquatic animals in it just had nothing but sludge.
The water was completely brown. There was no transparency to it whatsoever. And my colleague, Dr. Levine, said, wouldn't it be neat if we could clean this place up using oysters? And the idea was born.
And the idea grew as more citizens spoke out and leaders listened and responded. Then hundreds of volunteers, young and old, started rolling up their shirt sleeves and their pant legs and cleaning up decades worth of environmental damage. This is Sturgeon City. During the late 90s, the city of Jacksonville constructed a state-of-the-art land application plant and stopped discharging waste into the New River.
The city had already made a decision to decommission the plant, and that really was a demonstration of the city council's and the mayor's sense of moral responsibility for the river, the county's and city's ecosystems. Our goal was just to help the normal restorative capabilities of nature and the bay to heal itself.
In addition to oysters, aeration units were also placed in the bay.
These aeration units were put in place to mimic the original water hydrology, to pull water in from the deeper river or the channel, move it around Wilson Island and back out. The most important component was delivering oxygen to the bottom.
To help filter the water, acres of wetlands were restored, and within just a few short years, life had come back to the river.
It's like a new river. It is absolutely, it's called the New River, but it is a new river.
I've come to see things like otters, ospreys, eagles. Last night we were down at our boat dock and we saw a run of shad go in front of the dock.
It's an amazement to me to see my next door neighbor go down on his dock, depending on what's running at the time, and catch dinner.
It's not just wildlife that returned to Wilson Bay. People are coming back too, especially youth.
Sturgeon City is the best place to make friends around here.
Hundreds of young people have participated in the Sturgeon City Institutes, where making friends and having fun go hand in hand with learning science.
In the classroom, it takes a while for the light bulbs to come on. Sometimes it's 3 or 4 months. You have them for a whole semester before they really start to get it. And out here, a lot of times that happens just in the 1 week because they're more engaged.
It's not like you're in a classroom where you're all closed up and there's like one person teaching you. It's like you're out there letting the organisms teach you about themselves. I've had to say I've learned a lot more in this than I did the entire year of science class.
It's amazing in today's society when you see young kids that want to give up their time, are giving back to their community and taking pride in what their community is doing and want to come back here and work and live.
Hey, look right here.
That's growing our own future employees or our employers. That's growing our own leaders.
The institutes provide the next generation of civic leaders with important lessons.
You have to learn to listen to everyone around you. You don't want to just do it by yourself, because you can always get more accomplished with a group than just an individual. And we're learning about responsibility and taking responsibility for your actions.
Taking responsibility. Beyond the environmental restoration and economic revitalization, Sturgeon City is about taking responsibility, about fulfilling a moral obligation.
They went a step beyond that moral choice and decided to make use of this facility in another way to highlight the crisis that had been created over time.
But the story doesn't end with cleaning up the water, or restoring the wetlands, or building the boardwalks, or even with the summer institutes. Community leaders have decided to go a step further.
The easy thing to do would have been to bulldoze all of this. The money had already been earmarked for all of this to just very simply be demolished.
The old Wilson Bay wastewater treatment plant will not be demolished. Instead, the existing structures will be transformed. They'll become the centerpiece of a multifaceted environmental education center. This facility will tell the story of Sturgeon City by combining interactive exhibits, marine science demonstrations, display gardens, and outdoor classroom settings. It will tell the story of how sturgeon and other native species that were once plentiful can return to the river once we've cleaned up our pollution. It will stand as a reminder to this generation and generations to come.
Today, another chapter opens for the Wilson Bay Initiative in Sturgeon City. On your left, in a moment, I guess the door will completely open. There are some students there participating in the Sturgeon City Institutes. This is an example of how this building can advance the mission of creating future stewards of the New River. On your right is an example of how this building can serve this community and provide an income to the nonprofit. That room is made up to serve dinner to at least 40 people. This whole area here with all three rooms open can accommodate serving dinner to about 450 people. I do want to give you a very warm official welcome this morning to this official opening of the Sturgeon City Environmental Education Center. And we certainly do appreciate your attendance this morning. I have several people here this morning that I would like to recognize that have joined us. I'll start first with our Onslow County School Board. We have with us this morning Member Earl Taylor, Member Bob Williams. From our Onslow County Board of County Commissioners, we have with us...
My brother and my mother and my dad, we would spend all down the river fishing. And
from the Jacksonville City Council, we have Mayor Pro Tem Michael Lazzara and also Council Member Bob Warden. This project has always been one of vision. One vision was by the citizens of Jacksonville who wanted their river back. That led to the Wilson Bay Initiative by the City of Jacksonville. It lives on with the work continuing to help protect and restore the habitat of the New River. It lives on with the Oyster Highway, extending well downriver, a new system that is very exciting with its promise of furthering the change and the cleanup of the New River. The video and the powerful testimony of our citizens demonstrates that the moral responsibility that previous leaders of the city stated was a wise and thoughtful choice. But having a vision alone does not make this project come to life. I want to commend all those who were part of the initial Wilson Bay Initiative. We want to especially call out Dr. Jay Levine, Dr. Walter Tim, and Larry Hobbs. All had a significant role with many others in the original restoration effort. Pat Donovan Brandenburg was one of the original team members hired to help. She is now the city's stormwater manager. On September 7th, 2000, the City Council met in the administration building over my shoulder here, and it was there that they committed support for Sturgeon City as a site where environmental education would create stewards of the New River. Unfortunately, Jacksonville was one of the contributors to the degradation of the river, but was the main leader in cleaning it up. Mayor George Jones and the council in office wanted to ensure that the city also had a hand in ensuring future generations would watch over our New River. As noted in the video, It was a series of community summits that called for the river to be restored. Mayor Jones presided over those summits and inspired the journey that we celebrate today with the opening of this special building. Mayor Jones, we want to thank you very much for your leadership in getting this initiative going and bringing that vision to life. You will be remembered for not only inspiring the action of the city, but to involve others. This included our military leaders. You and the former chair of the County Commission jointly called together the first ever session of the New River Roundtable aboard the base. That group of concerned individuals and agency representatives who cared about our river continue today to exchange information. We've seen the benefits from telling youth about our community's efforts. We've seen the benefits from telling youth they are important. We've seen the benefits of giving them leadership skills to advance their dreams. Some have returned to this community after their education, and that was a goal first voiced by Mayor George Jones. This ceremony is purposefully being held during the week of Sturgeon City Institutes. It is a city project with cooperation from the school board to advance stewardship of the New River and to inspire future leaders. Some have led nonprofits, the chamber, some have become teachers, business operators, and many other professions. 4 years ago, we joined with these students on this ground. They formed the shape of a sturgeon. How fitting was that? In the middle, the leaders of the Sturgeon City nonprofit passed the first check that has helped to build this building. And so it is fitting that on this spot today, we honor those and other students who participate in the Sturgeon City Institutes, and we give thanks to all those who have made this project a success. From the City Council who agreed to the funding of the project, leaders of the Sturgeon City nonprofit, including Chief Fundraiser Charles Efird, and the many staffers of the city and the nonprofit, we say thank you. The work of Dr. Don Herring, Sheila Pierce Knight, and Charles, as well as the board members, current and past, must be commended. Will all the Sturgeon City board members, past and present, city council members, those associated with the nonprofit, and all those who work with the Wilson Bay Initiative and today with the city to help restore habitat, please raise your hands. We thank you so much for your efforts. Who knows what will become of those who pass through this site in the future? This site that will now have a dedicated building for environmental education. It will be a testament to the will of this community to restore habitat and invest in our youth. It will stand as a part of a caring community. It is with great honor that I call forward Mayor George Jones, who led the work after the vision was created. Mayor Jones, thank you for your leadership.
Good morning. I had to kind of pinch myself and look around. I thought Sammy was delivering my eulogy there for a minute. Thank you, Mayor Phillips, very much. Thank you to everyone here. Every face I'm looking at, you did something to make this possible. When you look back on, I'm going to call this a saga, you have a lot of memories. And there are 3 people that were in the fight. They duked it out with the distractors, but they're no longer with us. Former Mayor Joe Schote, former Mayor Pro Tem Greg Johnson, Council Member Fannie Coleman. Brendella, thank you for being here. going to tell you how this thing really got started. Dr. J. Levine, who you're going to hear from in just a minute, was involved in the initial cleanup work of Wilson Bay. And he kept looking over at the biotower at this plant. And things started clicking. Jay went to Glenn Hargett and Walter Tim, and Walter and Glenn came to me and said, guess what we want to do? And I said, you want to turn a what into a what? And though the original concept of an aquarium in that biotower has changed, what it was really about has not. It was about cleaning up the river, restoring our environment, and giving young people an opportunity to buy into their community. And it was a tough fight. I don't see Eddie Quinn in here today. Early on, a group of us went to Dauphin Island, Alabama, which was an abandoned early warning radar site. Very similar, abandoned structures, Air Force barracks, and the community came together, and they did actually do an aquarium and a learning center. But on the way back from that trip, Glenn knew the flight attendant quite well, and he said, you know, we're way ahead of schedule, and I know you got the mayor with you. You think he might like to say anything? And Glenn asked me. I said, no, what I'd like to do is ask the pilot, since we're ahead of schedule, if he can kind of go on past the airport, fly over Jacksonville, get real low, and open the door, and I'll throw a $100 bill out and make somebody happy. And Glenn said, well, look, why don't you instead throw 10 $10 bills out and make 10 people happy? And Sarah Humphrey said, well, George, why don't you throw 100 $1 bills out and make 100 people happy? And Eddie Quinn jumped up, he happened to be on the flight, and said, George, I got a better idea. Why don't you open the door, throw yourself out, and make everybody happy? So we all had our pings and pongs. I still got a few scars from the barbs on my back, but a lot of hard work, and a lot of y'all were a big part of that. After all the elected officials bought in, all the partners started coming in, we got a guy involved that I grew up with, Charles Efird. And it was decided that we couldn't do all this with tax dollars, and the youth programs were already running strong, doing well, touching thousands of lives a year. But we needed a facility. So I got invited to Charles and Lee's house along with several dozen other people, and Charles, on the driveway, said, George, belly up to the bar and break out your checkbook. And it was off to the races. This wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Charles Efird. You tackled a huge task. And but I just think this is a huge statement for what a community, through partnerships, through people coming together, people willing to dream, what a community can do. And I made the remark to several people last night, once this facility is discovered by all kinds of groups and events are held in here, before the 10th anniversary, we're going to have to double the size of it. Mark my words, this is wonderful. Again, thank all of you, thank everybody for the long journey and the successful conclusion. And now let's get off to round two. And that crazy professor I just talked to you about, Dr. J. Levine, was on the faculty at North Carolina State University. He's changed hats up there recently, but I'm happy to learn that come this fall semester, he will be back as a professor at North Carolina State University. Very smart man, and thank God, a man that can dream. Jay. Well,
Wow. I'm going to be pretty brief. For more than 20 years, I've had the privilege of representing NC State University and working with the residents of Jacksonville. The community has done something very unique here. You restored a coastal bay and converted what was a wastewater treatment facility and a yard waste landfill into a unique outdoor learning opportunity for students. We began this journey together with three primary visions in mind: bringing back the bay and river so it could once again be a resource for the community, filling the parking lot with yellow buses and building future leaders that recognize the importance of environmental stewardship, and as Mayor George Jones said, encouraging folks that want to come back and stay here in Jacksonville. And a primary goal that's often forgotten, from the beginning, this was envisioned as an economic development project. It's a clear model of how environmental stewardship is compatible with local economic development. Building Sturgeon City required a consensus of the willing and the collective courage to meet our moral responsibility as environmental stewards. What we need now is your continued support and the grit needed to sustain this effort. My mother had a saying that reflects what this project has meant to me. She would tap her chest and she would say, "Knock us." This effort and working with you makes my heart sing. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Hannah Hill, and I'm a staff member here for the Summer Institutes. During the school year, I'm an 8th grade teacher at Hunters Creek Middle School, and this is my 9th summer being a part of Sturgeon City. Every year, I'm blessed to see students learn the importance of being socially and environmentally aware, as well as growing confidence and community pride. Contrary to popular belief, I did not attend Sturgeon City as a student. I first learned of this unique place as a city intern following my freshman year of college. Everyone was so passionate about the meaning and promise of Sturgeon City, as well as the opening of this building. As that summer continued, I also began to believe more into that promise and the reality of this building opening one day. Knowing that there is a place that does so much to positively impact my community made me proud to be part of Jacksonville. Many people may remember my late cousin, Oliver Hill. He would be extremely happy about the opening of this building, and he would give everyone the same charge: keep the spirit behind this building and the site alive. For city officials, community members, and parents, this means to keep providing equitable and relatable experiences for our youth to become proud members of this area. And to our youth, I hope that they can hear me on the other side, always remember that you belong to a community that made the environmental commitment to be better for future generations. Sturgeon City has changed me from a shy college student to an educator who will always remember her pledge that she made to this city and the people with it. I look forward to continuing that pledge for many summers to come. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. What a wonderful day and memorable for many of us that have been around for a bit of time to work on these projects to make Jacksonville a better place to live. First, I want to commend the perseverance and the dedication of so many who have made this day and project work. It has been 19 years since the first plans were laid out that September 7th, 2000. Meeting of the Jacksonville City Council and the Sturgeon City Ad Hoc Committee. But the mission did not falter during that time. As indicated, this facility has been the backdrop for many students to learn about the environment and the community and the ability to lead. Many students have seen local leaders stand with them to work in the wetlands, to help clean the Wilson Bay, and to cultivate oysters. Many people have visited the site to learn what the city of Jacksonville did to help restore the habitat. Teachers have attended special classes at this site to learn how to be better environmental teachers. And that has been part of the impressive nature of this project. I want to personally thank each of you who have worked, toiled, and moved this project along. This is not just an environmental project, but it's an economic development project. It can advance tourism. It can create new opportunities that will come from the increased activities here at near end of Court Street. And it can spread the word about people in Jacksonville who care about the new river. A side benefit of this building is that it can host 450 people for dinner and maybe a pizza party one day. I'm not sure. We certainly have a desperate need for meeting and banquet space in Jacksonville. As chairman of the Tourism Development Authority, I have heard project after project report that they cannot grow because there is no space available. This adds new space to our inventory. And think what it can be in our future. You attend a conference here, and during your break, you can stroll the boardwalk. You pause at the edge of Wilson Bay. You watch the mechanical ospreys and the natural ones mix together. Imagine climbing to the top of the 35-foot hill in the Sturgeon City Park and the magnificent vista of Wilson Bay, Montfort Point, and the Sewell Bridge. I have seen the transformations a community can have on projects just like this. In my tenure with the North Carolina League of Municipalities and hearing testimonies from those with the National League of Cities, communities tout how a major project has brought others to follow. They become an impetus for brave new ventures, such as eating establishments that encourage local breweries, or some other enterprise that adds to our community, sparked by just one initiative. The Jacksonville Tourism Development Authority saw this vision. They understood the need for meeting space, and they understood the power of the story that this community restored a river. An action started by a call to action from our residents. I commend and encourage others to adopt this bold vision, to think what our community can be. We are not just a Walmart town. How can we advance economic development with welcoming spaces? To all who have been involved, I say thank you. To those who have benefited from the environmental, leadership, and other trainings that have been held here in the past, and especially those to Sturgeon City Institute students who now sit to your left, we challenge you to vision what you want your community to be in the future. Think how we can make this a better place to live. One man who has certainly done this, and that is Charles Efird. He has been the chief fundraiser for this project, a daunting project to raise $1 million, but willingly accepted, unabashed in his vigor for the message. I thank you, Charles Efird, for your work and welcome you to the podium to make a few remarks. Thank you very much.
Good morning. We've come a long ways, and it's good to see everybody here this morning. In the last 21 years that Sturgeon City has been in existence, we have served approximately 60,000 students in what we have. I took this task because I believe in what Sturgeon City does. These students we have need to know that the community cares about them. It's powerful to see how many of these students that go to the Institute that it actually changes their lives. I mean, they decide they want to go into math and science or science, be teachers. But that is, I mean, that's the reason that we do this. It is to help these students. To you students, which are over there, we can't see them. I guess these fancy doors are, need a little tweaking. But to you students over there that we can't see in the 2019 Sturgeon City Institute, remember this day as the one that they opened a new building. And later, remember that this is really dedicated to you to help us take care of our river and also our community. The video that played earlier that I was in part of it and everything. I grew up right down the street from Wilson Bay. My entire childhood. I kept a boat on Wilson Bay. My mom, my dad, and my brother, we spent many an hour fishing on Wilson Bay. And then in high school, they started telling us that we need to be careful because in high school, I quit about fishing and got into girls and skiing and boating and having a good time. So we would go. George was part of that group. He had one of the fastest boats on the river. And but they told us that we needed to be careful with the river because the river was polluted. And we just kind of didn't really think that much about it. But then everything started dying in the river. I mean, there was practically nothing except eels. Now, eels, they thrive in that environment there. But and we came together and we cleaned this river up. And all you have to do is go to the boat ramp between the two bridges on a weekend, and there's not a parking space there. These people, they're boating, they're swimming, they're fishing. I'm a big fisherman. We have people that come from all over North Carolina, South Carolina, to come to the new river to fish this river. It's a huge asset to our community. And they're spending money. So, that's what it's all about. We are trying to make our community really look good because, like Mike said, we're kind of known in the past as a Walmart town, which, there's nothing wrong with Walmart, don't get me wrong. But, we are now developing things that are really enhancing our community, big time. When you come in and to the bridge in Jacksonville and you see that beautiful boat ramp there and whatever else we're going to do with the old gas station, it's really, really good. This building cost $4 million. We never dreamed that we would be able to, as a board, we never dreamed we'd be able to get $4 million. I mean, we really wanted it, but we didn't really know how to do it. And I've got to say that Dr. Woodruff and his team at City Hall came up with an idea by floating a bond, along with some other bonds that were there, that we could build this building. And Dr. Woodruff, last night in my talk, I thanked you and your team for coming up with an idea on how we could do this. The Tourism Authority for the city, they dedicated $2 million to us. The city of Jacksonville dedicated $1 million to us. The nonprofit board, we obligated the board for $1 million. $1 million is a lot of money, but we were so committed to it, we knew that this was our chance to get this building, that we can fill it up with students, and also we can fill it up with Marine Corps balls, Shriners conventions, and everything, because there's not a facility anywhere around here that can handle this. And look at this beautiful facility here. And I'm just really proud to be part of this. And if I come knocking on your door, and if the telephone rings, please don't hang up. Please try to think what we've done here. And remember, we need your help. We've done well so far. And in raising the money, I think we've made 6 payments, I think. Is that right, man? 6 payments of $75,000 a year. And it's because of the hard work that everybody's done and the generosity of our community. But we got 14 more of those payments. And so we're going to have to, we're going to have to step up. But I really do feel that within about 5 years, I think this will be totally self-sufficient. I think we'll be able to not have to ask people for money because we're going to generate enough money to take care of all of our obligations by using this building, by renting this building, and everything. And that, that's our goal, is to do that. So please don't just, hang up on me. A couple other things. Glenn Hargett came to me 20 years ago, I guess. Glenn and I grew up together with George and several others. And he said, I want you to sit on the Sturgeon City board. I said, what is Sturgeon City, And so he explained to me, and I said, okay, I'll try it. Never dreamed I would get quite as involved as I have, but Glenn has had a dream, and this is his dream right here. Those kids over there is his dream. And people don't know it, but Glenn just had a baby because of this building right here. It really takes a team and a board effort. The next person that's getting ready to speak is Don Herring. And I do want to tell you that I think first of last week, we got our temporary CO to get in this building. We had a lot to do between then and last night when we first had our first little event here. Don and his wife, Mary Ann, I think they've been camping in this building for, about the last 6 or 7 nights because they have really, really worked hard. Don, in the process of us building this building, he kind of led us along the way, helped us to, focus on some things and decide on some things. And he's done a great job. Mary Ann, I thank you because she watches every dime that comes in and goes out. And if she doesn't know where it is, you better have an answer for it because she's that good. But she's been into every meeting that we've had with the builders and architects and stuff. Mary Ann, truly thank you. But I don't think we got any more flowers for you, but thank you. Now, I would like to ask Don Herring to come up.
Good morning. It's great to see such a full room of people, and we're very excited about this opportunity here. 2 words this morning, access and collaboration. That's how we've got here. City giving us access, courageous votes, support of this board, the council, support of the Tourism Development Authority, support of the County of Onslow, support of our Sturgeon City Nonprofit Board has provided access, and that collaboration has provided this access. We've had research groups come down and say, you have access to this waterfront with a simple permit or a simple request from the council. Yes, we do. University of North Carolina in Wilmington and other places, they live for every square inch of research access they can get to the water. And here we've been blessed with this access based on that collaboration. Now, access and collaboration don't always work hand in hand. Prime example, see this wall over here? We want access to open it up to show you 75 young people who are actively involved in science, but it's not collaborating. But when access and collaboration come together, it is magic. It is the things that require that catalyst. So much has been mentioned today about our journey to get here and all the people and the leadership and support of that, and we sincerely appreciate that. We appreciate our current council. I do want to also, again, as Ms. Fanny Coleman was recognized, and Mr. Jerome Willingham, members who are along that journey here to where we are today. Our Tourism Development Authority, their support has been outstanding. And this opportunity, again, to provide this access. This is a legacy building that's going to provide access to our community, and to collaborate with our hotels and to collaborate with our community here and with our tourism here. There's no limit to where we can be here. Access and collaboration. I do want to speak to the members who have been a large part in the building of this and planning of it. Sawyer and Sherwood and Associates, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for taking a vision. You know, architects, they start out with circles and some visionary things, and then the money kicks in. It's got to narrow down to reality. And we had a slight little delay there. We had 5 years that we had to delay over an environmental issue. But it was the right thing to do to wait until we could come on this property. How could you be an environmental education center if you trampled over some regulation and didn't do what you're supposed to do? So you can imagine that $4+ million started shrinking in the ability to build and all. And again, I appreciate the efforts of our city manager, Dr. Woodruff, working hand in hand with Sawyer, Sherwood, and Associates. You learn a lot about lean engineering, okay? And lean engineering, we never lost a single square foot. This was the original vision of this building, its size. We never lost a single square foot. And I have to applaud that, because sometimes you've ever built anything, the first thing you think you need to shrink it, you know. But again, we've made that happen there, made this happen. I'm also very excited that the money to build this building stayed locally. Pro Construction, lead contractor on this. I like it when money circulates hands and stays in town. You know, it just makes things better there and all. And again, the city of Jacksonville and all of its staff have been wonderful, hand in hand along the way here and all. I would like to give special thanks to Deanna Trouble, who's been the project manager of this, and she's attended all the meetings. She's been that shock absorber between different groups there and all. And so I appreciate that and appreciate all of their efforts here. Take just a moment to speak to our board here, the Sturgeon City Nonprofit. Again, and I'll use two different words. We just talked about access and collaboration. Now I'm going to use two words that fit our board. If you're on our board, you have to have patience and persistence. Because there are days when the wind does not blow. And those sails don't push out. So you have to be patient and persistent. So our board began. When you've got leaders like Charles Efird, when you've got the persistence of people like Marianne Williams, when you've got such other great members such as Tiffany Choice, Gary Danford, Dr. Jay Levine, John Rouse, Ken Hagan, when you've got former members who left legacy efforts, and they're all such as Rosie Jones, Dory Mew, Sheila Pierce Knight, it's a pleasure and actually an honor to work with these people, because they make things happen, they make telephone calls, and they get active in it. You can also get aggravated by it too, but it all comes together. That's what makes it work here. So today, we take the goodness, the access, the collaboration, this patient, persistent, we put it all in that pot and we stir it up today, and we have what you see today here. Now, there's a sign out as you come in here. That sign's got some age on it, because I put it up 18 years ago, and it's got a little twist to it. Hurricanes have a way of twisting things here, you know. It says Sturgeon City, work in progress. And they may take it down or push it down one day when I'm gone or moved around here, but we'll always be a work in progress. Because before this grand 11,000 square foot facility opened, we were in a science hut and a tent. And we've served 64,000 people. This building takes the limit off all that. This building, first and foremost, is for science education, turning young people into environmental stewards, helping them understand that what you flush down doesn't go away. It comes back to haunt you. What you see is what you'll get years later. If we can help them, it's about changing culture, changing understanding. If you get young people to appreciate the things they grow up around, and all, they'll pass that on too. And we've been passing that on, our first little programs under tents and huts for 20 years. And again, the access and collaboration of this building will help that grow. But we're a work in progress. We recognize now this is great. We've got a beautiful walk down to the water, a beautiful walk over to the hill and parks over here. We know we've got some more finished edges that we've got to work on here. But it's about telling that story of how wastewater treatment plant, a brownfield area, has now been turned around and changed over. It's been a pleasure to serve with this group and continue to serve with this group. Mr. Mayor, at this time, I appreciate the opportunity to call you back up and to further celebrate the opening of this building.
This is an Atlantic sturgeon. Did I get that right, Glenn? Okay, that's an Atlantic sturgeon, not a Pacific sturgeon, but this is the one that inhabited our river at one time. And we'll swim in this way. With this key, we do pass on the legacy of the 1997 community summits and give you another venue in which to tell this story for generations and groups to come. I want to thank you. I want to thank everyone, Charles, the rest of the Sturgeon City Board, for everything that you've done as far as getting this project off the ground and running, except for that door right there. But thank you very much, Don, and with this key, I do present you.
Mr. Mayor, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks, sir. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone who's come out to this morning to be with us for this monumental event. I'm just taken aback by how beautiful this facility is, and like Charles said, I'm sure we'll fill it up for quite some time. But thank you again for your attendance this morning.
Y'all want to do it? On three.